lost 2 Hellions. So he's traded fairly well. And he's also denying mining in my expansion. So there you go, overproduced overlords, making 3 roaches. And this is the part where Happy sort of screws up. He didn't have to lose these Hellions. I'll take that much damage. Wow, wow, Happy is such a beast. Macro player. Triple command center early on. Snute, why don't you block with your buildings? I tried to block better, but once your expansion completes, you don't really have that much creep to place buildings on. It's not like you have creep over here, so placing a roach run here, for instance, is a bit difficult. Once I saw the Marine Marauder combo, I was sort of thinking he might be going for some sort of 1-base Marine Marauder, I mean 1-base Hellion Marauder all-in, because that's something he's been doing against me in a couple of games. But it turned out, you know, it was very good to move the roaches down here, because I could see, that's the good thing about using the roaches to block the expansion. If you block the expansion, the Terran will have to reveal his army in order to fend off these roaches, and that is very helpful. Like, even if I lost a couple of roaches here, I managed to see that, okay, Happy is going to transition into Marine Tank. So that was really good to have that sort of confirmation that he was in fact not going for Marauder Hellion, but he was going for Marine Tank. And from there, I could feel a little bit more safe, take my 3rd base. I was being sort of hesitant and playing safe. I took triple gas instead of going to take a 3rd expansion, because I was afraid of a Hellion Marauder all-in. So at this point I was like, okay, Happy took an expansion, now I need to get my own up as quickly as possible. And Happy is a very good macro player as well, so from here I just kept on adding on macro hatch, getting lair tech up. Notice how I begin the lair when my carapace upgrade is halfway complete, so I can begin +2 immediately. Adding on evolution chamber and soon baneling nest as well. Snute, why not just taking a 2nd gas and a bane nest and bust the fuck out of the greedy triple orbital? I didn't know that this was a triple orbital build. If I had any clue, then perhaps, but as you can see, Happy is doing a very good job of having marines on patrol, so suiciding overlords is a bit sketchy. And I couldn't really see directly from this army composition he had out here that he was going for a triple orbital. Sure, if you can see that your opponent is going for a triple orbital in time, then of course you can bust it. But I didn't really, you know, it's so sketchy to use a Ling Bane bust against someone who opens up with Reactor Hellion, because what if he has like 4 to 6 Hellions and he micros really well? He will lose so many Lings. Let's see. Why don't you push it 7 minutes with Roachling Banes versus greedy players like Happy? If the Hellion count is more than 4, he will have very delayed tanks. That's true, that's a good point. Someone who opens Hellions will have quite late tanks. That's something I should think about. Like a siege mode in this game, 9-minute mark. I don't know, I wouldn't really be too comfortable about baneling busting Empire Happy. Like, siege mode is complete shortly after he's taken his expansion. And at this point I just got my macro up and running. I don't know, I don't think I would have done a baneling bust right here. Of course I could have tried, but I'm not really too comfortable. The moment he hits double siege tank, all of a sudden baneling busting becomes so much more difficult, and it's all in. I had a much better chance at playing macro this game. But yeah, of course, it's personal preference. If you like to play Roachling Bane all in, if you're not completely, you know, if you can get a read that this is triple orbital. I couldn't, but perhaps you can do better and have a better read on your opponent. But I didn't know that he was going for triple orbital, so I was not comfortable with doing any sort of aggression against this. But yeah, from here everything just developing standard. I saw that he was opening marine tanks, so I added some spines in the main, just in case he had medivacs out. And then the big marine tank push comes, and I'm like, oh shit, that's so many units. So I do a counterattack here. But unfortunately Happy had this wall up, and you should always morph a couple of banelings when you do counterattack against a good Terran player. Good Terrans will always have a wall like this, so next time I should definitely include a couple of banelings in my counterattack. And then we have some lag. I'm just trying to keep cool here, adding on my units, just holding back, waiting as long as possible, waiting, and when I feel comfortable I just push out and break this. So from here we are about equal. I'm a tiny bit ahead, but yeah, it's not really too much of a difference. But the thing I have going for me is the creep spread. So what does Happy do from here? Goes into, yeah, adding on factory and barracks. So he's just increasing his marine tank production, and also adding on medivacs, of course, which I have to deal with at a later point. Ah shit, I should have had an overlord spewing creep here. He got this base for free. I should also research burrow when my lair is complete, and just burrow a circling here, or maybe even sneak in some banelings here, so that I can blow them up. But I didn't have any measures to sort of punish this expansion, so that was really bad. I was under a lot of stress, but still. But yeah, I don't think there's too much to say about the rest of this game. I expanded Redator rapidly, and from here the tech just developed and the macro just increased. He had the third base and did the marine tank push once again. My unit count increased, and yeah, my macro just went into overdrive. More links, more banes, more marines, more tanks, and history just repeats itself. Now he does this elevator drop, which is kinda nice. But yeah, it's basically the same thing happening all over again. I just wait, and I use my positional advantage. After all, when he has his army here, he doesn't really hurt anything, he's just standing there. And this army can only deal damage if I allow it to, like sending queens over here or something. Snute. Yeah, his upgrades were really late, that's the thing to notice. My game plan was just to get links and banes and expand. I know it sounds like a simple game plan, but I was just trying to hold off the Hellions, and from there expand, make links and banes to fight, you know, that was a response to the marine tank type of play. And try and deny his bases while taking more of my own, and then perhaps go into something like Ultralisk Baneling. So here's the counterattack, this time with banelings. So I learned from my previous mistake, even though I could have run in here, you know. So a proper counterattack here. This is a good counterattack. Then I use my queens for defense, macro stepping up quite a bit, and then the counterattack hits, sending another counterattack. So I'm just sort of defending by using the queens to hold off the forces. And then I counterattack, just buying myself time. I don't know, there's not really too much to say about this game. The counterattack worked, and you know, from the very beginning, it was just me responding to the Hellions. The Hellions didn't deal enough damage. He got his expansion up. I took my expansion. He did the Marine tank push. I defeated the push. I tried the counterattack. It failed. He did another push, got his third base for free. I got my third and fourth for free. And from there, the game was just developing standardly until the Zerg economy won. I don't really think there's too much more to this game. Snute, do you recommend to build extra queens in order to pimp creep spread? Yeah, absolutely. Starting off with like 4 queens is awesome, and then adding on queens against the marine tank composition is really nice. Snute, why didn't you make some infestors? I didn't feel like it was necessary, but most of all it was just macro slip up. Snute, how do you fend off multi-drops if you don't have mutas and the turret plays more passive? Spine crawlers, queens and links. That's all you need.